This one's for the glue guys. When it comes to NBA careers, James Posey won 2 championships in 12 seasons and was an integral part in team cultures in Miami, Boston, and Cleveland, respectively. Simply put, he understood how to adapt, had the character and maturity to star in his role. As Penny knows, it's all about the perception and perspective for players. When it comes to Posey's unique attributes, you have to track his journey. A solid player, he had the grind in college, and thanks to a great work ethic, made it to the league. Then, with the support of good vets, he learned not only what it would take to make it, but to stay. Beyond that, he figured out what it takes to win. Add that all up, and you have an outstanding NBA resume and one hell of a career. So this one offers a quick detail of the championship formula as a teammate. It's James Posey on the 2 Cents Podcast. Remember, subscribe wherever you get your podcast to catch every episode as soon as they drop.
Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to my 2 Cents Podcast. We are at the golf course at Cascada in Las Vegas. Got my man James Posey right here. That's going to be the guest. We're here on a golf trip with about 60 guys. Going to try to make it bigger and bigger every year. Again, we're back like we never left. We had Quick Man Excel on. Now we got my man James Posey. James, I appreciate you being on, my man.
Nah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's talk about Twinsburg, Ohio. A lot of people don't know where you're from. Let's talk about your city, man.
My city. It's crazy. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? In the inner city, raised by my mom and my sister. My dad was in my life, but he was living in the suburbs for the most part. And it was an incident growing up where playing basketball at the Cleveland bathhouse, one of my good friends ended up getting shot. And so my mom was like, nah, you out of here. You go live with your dad. So from there, I moved to my dad. He was living in Shaker Heights.
I heard of Shaker Heights.
Yeah.
I heard of Shaker Heights. Shout out to Shaker Heights.
So moved with my dad there. He got married and ended up graduating from Twinsburg Chamberlain. So that was just my journey. But it just really started with my mom just handing me over to my dad. Like, with the drugs and, the party everybody was dealing with, your dad was in a better situation, go. And it was hard for me to accept because that's all I knew for the most part. So I always tried to go back to live with her and stay with her, but it was better living it with my dad. So that was it.
Well, to me, just listening to that, it's just a part of your journey has always been adapting. You know what I mean? That's been a part of your journey, just being an adapter. Just talk about just adapting. Like you said, you weren't really, it was new, you didn't really want to do it, but you did it and you adapted. Talk about that.
Yeah, like I said, that incident where getting shot and just seeing, the guys selling drugs and stuff like that. And, I get the shaker, my dad's living in a house. Front yard, backyard. He has a reliable car. The schooling is way better. At the time, it was like one of the top in the nation. It's just that school district. And so seeing that, it's like, oh, man, now I'm fancy for the most part living around. So it's just a better situation. And I'm like, okay, I could do. I seen better. And I seen what my mom was dealing with and my friends back home was dealing with. And so I had stories for them, telling them things, playing, on a inside basketball court for the most part, you know what I'm saying? And just having a house and things like that. So sharing those little stories with my friends down there and trying to help them along the way because they was pretty much stuck down there, but I had the balance of, saying both worlds. And like I said, I just give credit to my mom and my dad too. Like he was still working, but he took me in and he raised me from there. And from there was just, a nice way of living.
Yeah, that's good. How did Xavier come into the picture? Like what was going on during your high school career where I know colleges were coming, but where did Xavier just strike you? Because it was close, or did they do the best job?
So coming out, I ended up being a Prop 48. So, being recruited, I'm getting letters and everything, having conversations. But when they seen those grades, everybody fell off. So it was only Xavier, Dayton, and Indiana. And Indiana got in because my high school coach, Posey, and Bob Knight had a good relationship.
Okay.
But from afar, me seeing Bob Knight, I'm saying, I'm like, I don't know if I could play with him. And then, I seen Calvert Chaney, he played there, and it just wasn't what I was used to as far as like culturally wise.
Right.
So I did take a visit there. And then Xavier, Coach Prosser, and Coach Battle, they said, we want you to come here regardless, if you get the test scores or not, we still want you to come. And at Dayton, it was Oliver Purnell.
Yeah.
He was a coach there. And, great visits, but I took that visit and I left Xavier And by the time so Xavier's in Cincinnati.
Yep.
So by the time I got to Columbus, my high school coach, Posey, he took me down for my visit. I took a nap, I woke up, and I said, I'm going to Xavier. And he sort of laughed at me a little bit. He said, we still got about 2 hours to go, but I hear you. And it was just Coach Prosser and Coach Battle, the small time community there, but it was big time basketball. And at the time, they were in the MAC. And when I got there, we ended up going to the A10. So you had UMass, Rhode Island, you had the Campies in there, you had Rhode Island, you had Temples, you know what I'm saying?
Great teams.
So that's how I ended up going to Xavier.
Now, talk about your experience getting to Xavier. You're getting on campus. You know where you were. You went to Shaker Heights. Now I've committed, but now I'm on campus. Talk about that first summer getting on campus. I know you were a Prop 48. I was a Prop 48.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't pass ACT or SAT and had to sit out that first year. But just your experience of just getting on campus and being there.
Man, it was eye-opening for the fact that I never went to school without playing a sport. So being a prop, like, I couldn't practice, I couldn't travel, I couldn't do nothing. So I had to find my way around. Had joined the intramural team. Shout out to my man Chuck Chillout. He coached for in there. So that was my season. Only time I seen my teammates was study hall. And so that was rough for me. And every week I was calling Coach Posey. I was having talks with Coach Battle, just like, yo, man, I can't go here. I ain't supposed to be here. Because I'm just thinking more hooping wise. I'm not even thinking about school. And it was just, like I said, I never went to school without just playing a sport. Somehow, some way, I was able to play, whether right or wrong, I was still able to play a sport. So I think that first year, it helped me just grow up. One, to give me confidence to know that I could actually, do college work. I could be a good student.
Yeah.
And then it gave me an opportunity to work on my game. So, you know what I'm saying, my sophomore year, which would have been my freshman year, I could contribute and play.
Yeah, shout out to all the academic advisors in college, because I had a lady, Miss Pickens, Jenna Pickens, who was our academic advisor when I was a Prop 48. She made sure that I was on point, and it did give me confidence that I could do the work. Dean's List, student. It wasn't that we couldn't. It might have been like the attention span. Every student isn't going to be the same way, but we persevered through that. That first year. Like I said, I played intramural basketball. Me and another one of my teammates were Prop 48s that we came in together, and we played. We couldn't practice, couldn't travel with the team, and like you said, we saw our teammates on campus and at the dorm, but couldn't go to practice and things like that. So talk about your sophomore year. You finally like, I'm in here now. I'm ready to roll.
I'm in here now, putting in that work. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just ready. I'm anxious. And so we had guys, Lenny Brown, Gary Lumpkin from Delaware that came in that was in my class. Darnell Williams in my class, so they played the freshman year. And then we had T.J. Johnson, Teray Braggs. So I come in sophomore year, and I'm pretty good. I'm like the second or third leading rebounder on the team. My stats are all right. And in my head, I'm thinking, yo, I should be starting. I should be starting. So again, I'm in Coach Prosser's office, and I'm like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, these numbers right here. And then one day I walked into Coach Prosser's office. He said, yeah, you could start, but the value you have for this team is coming off the bench. He said, if I start you, I'm not getting this coming off the bench. I'm young, but I'm not understanding that. And I'm just still mad, like, yo, like, nah, I should be starting, because all I know is starting. You know what I'm saying? So he sat down and we had a conversation, and it's like, okay, it's cool. Like, I'm thinking I still had a chance to prove to him, like, yo, I could crack this starting lineup.
Yep.
And I never did. I never cracked it till my senior year, basically, at the end of the day. So it was just one of those things, like, I got it, I understood it, and I made the best of it. And then those 2 years, really, I end up being like one of the nation's top 6 men. So they was talking about me,
you still made your way, even though you weren't starting. You still made your way.
I made my way, and then, like I said, it was just the hard work. It was a grind, and the process of just getting better. And it was more so about the team than just me. And that was just like the growth and maturity that I was showing over the years there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Why didn't you quit? Most guys quit. Why didn't you transfer, man? When Coach told you you're not starting, why didn't you quit and transfer?
I had a great support system from my high school coach, from my family, and then Coach Prosser. And once it dawned on me, for the most part, they told me they still wanted me to come to Xavier, whether I had the grades or not. So that means my parents, they took on 3 jobs apiece to pay my freshman year to go to Xavier University. And so I've been like, if I believe it's a smack in the face to them,
yeah,
I'm going against my word with Coach Prosser. So those 2 things right there really made me just really settle and buckle down and really think about the bigger pictures. I didn't want to let my family down, and I didn't want to, go against my word with Coach Prosser because he still wanted me to come there. And that's what they told me and my family. And he said at the end of the day, we wasn't even talking basketball when they came into our home. It was more so like, you're going to get your college degree. And I said, all right.
You know what? That's just the biggest word I see in all that is character. Your character, young, and the support system, it made you more mature. It really did, because it made you have to own up. Like you said, you didn't want to let your mom and dad down, but they had to pay for your college your first year. You could have been spoiled and say, I want to leave. You'd have been letting Coach Prosser down because he's saying his staff, because they gave you the opportunity. We want you, whether you're good or not. We're going to make it. We're going to make it okay.
Yeah.
And the character in that is really good. I always talk about perception and perspective. When they talk about perception, they say the guys always think about themselves. They don't even think about the other people. But perspective is, you put it in perspective, I got to know how they're going to feel if I make this decision.
Yeah.
So that's what it's really, to me, it's all about, perception versus perspective. So now we move on to those 2 years. I remember y'all in Cincinnati, man, just going at it. That game, I think y'all played both years, right?
Yeah.
Man, knockdown, dragouts. Hadn't really heard much about Xavier. Knew Cincinnati because they was in our conference. And y'all was beating them. I was like, man, Xavier got to be tough, because I know what Cincinnati is on. And watching y'all, I was like, them boys, they tough. So you get them 2 years. And first, let's talk about the Cincinnati-Xavier rivalry. Let's just talk about that really quick, because that's major right there.
That's the ultimate game right there in Cincinnati, the crosstown shootout.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? We're probably like a mile and a half, like apart or whatever, small campus, big time campus. And so it was like, you just had that bad blood, because everybody that went to Cincinnati, they felt like it was like they were already in the league.
Yeah.
So in the city, you had the Cincinnati Bengals and you had UC, and they thought they were pro players, you know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where you join that whole rivalry because you know how important it is. It gives you the right to talk all summer. We had the summer pro-am and stuff like that. So you got the freshmen coming in, they talking back and forth.
Yeah.
And, now we get to the season as a game, like you back it up. So was able to beat them when they was #1 in the country twice. And they had a team that Danny Forson.
Yeah, beat Dan. If you don't remember Danny.
Damon Flitt.
Yep.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, it was tough there, and it's crazy. But Nick Van Exel, we became a good friend of mine. So when I got drafted to Denver, we met him. But I told him, and I always remind him, in that pro-am league, I ripped him at half court. So, you know what I'm saying? He gonna say nah, but I ripped him at half court. You know what I'm saying? He up there with your little dribble, but I ripped him. But it was still like, you just embraced that rivalry there. And, I had a good winning percentage in that.
Yeah, that's good, man. The 18th pick in the draft. Now the draft comes. What makes you make the decision to leave?
Well, I was able to get my degree. So being at Prop 48, I could have came back for a year.
Yep.
And that year I recruited David West. And so Coach Prosser was there like, you stay here. We got a dog coming in D West. And so I thought about it. And like I said, school wasn't a big, I wasn't a big fan of school. So I said, listen, I already got my degree. Y'all said I would get that, and I did, earned it and everything. And so now it's just time for me to move on. So during this whole time, I'm not thinking league. Yeah, I was thinking more so like, let me graduate. You know what I'm saying? Be one of the first in my family to do so. And so let me get my piece of paper, then I'll figure everything else out. And like I said, during that journey of basketball, I got better each year. And you hear the talk of, oh, this guy could go.
Yep.
I heard plenty of those stories, and a lot of those stories didn't end up that way. So I wasn't biting that bait right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I just kept working. And then, you hear the talk, had a chance to go into the league. Then I could just go through the whole process, hiring an agent, Mark Bartelstein, and I just go from there. And like I said, at the draft, I was, fortunate enough to go to the draft in D.C. My whole family there, Sister Roseanne Flynn, my coaches, college coaches, everybody that helped me along the way that I could have there was there. And so I went to 18th pick. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. They had 2 picks. They picked Andre Miller with 1, and they picked Trajan Langdon with the other pick. And so being from there, those 2 picks go. My mom, she was devastated because she thought, why didn't you don't pick you right there in the backyard and everything? Right. And I told Mom, I said, it's okay. Like, whether I get drafted by Cleveland or not, I said, we wasn't banking on this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We weren't banking on going pro. And so we just gonna enjoy this whole time. As we there at the draft, and we just gonna enjoy. And that's what we did. And I was blessed to be drafted by the Denver Nuggets with the 18th pick.
Let's take a break to talk about DraftKings. The NBA season has been fantastic. Here we are. If you're looking to tap into your knowledge, get in on all the action and play Pick 6 from DraftKings, an official partner of the NBA. Now here's how it works. First, download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, then select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat like points, rebounds, three-pointers, and more. And for first-time players on Pick 6, check this out. New customers play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. The fun of the NBA season continues with the most fun way to play fantasy sports, Pick 6 from DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code PENNY. That's code PENNY for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball.
Yeah, how was that first year? Now, we always talk about rookie season. Back when you first came in, it was still rough, really rough, because I know when I came in, it was rough in training camps. How was it for you when you first came in? You got drafted, and then you got there into Denver.
So I come in, Dan Dessel was our head coach. John Lucas was Luke's assistant.
My guy.
Luke.
Shout out to Luke.
So, he got on me right away with workouts and everything. And, I'm just taking everything in for the most part. And I don't even know where to go with this, but just along the way, we get into the season. Being an 18th pick, I didn't start right away. Brian Stith was who was a smart forward at the time.
Player, though.
He was
Good vet.
good defensive player. He could shoot, and he was a vet. And on that team, we just had real grown men vets.
Right.
And so my thing was, I didn't want to be the guy that was only here for a couple years and then I'm back home, because just hearing the story and people talking back at the crib, like I'll be home, real soon, whether it's from college or just being in the league,
Right.
He ain't that good. He made it and some of these other people didn't. So, that was built up in me as well. So just to prove people wrong. So I ended up starting, like say halfway through my rookie year, and, things just sort of took off from there. Being in a situation from not starting helped me along the way from, not starting at Xavier or whatever, but having a starting opportunity, I got it. And I had a little growing up session as well with John Lucas. We had shoot around. We have Nick Van Exel, Antonio McDyess. Those are money guys. You know what I'm saying? So, man, we already deep into the season, and I'm crying about shots. I'm over there pouting and everything, and you know how loud Lukey gets.
Oh, yeah.
So we sitting in the middle of the Pepsi Center. He said, I don't know why you moping around, pounding around. He said, listen, we got big money here, pointed at Dice, big money here, pointed at Nick. He said, we're going to sacrifice shots to get to you. You better find your role on this team, but we ain't about to cater to you or nothing like that. He said, if you don't get it now, you'll never get it for the most part. And ever since then, he never had a problem with me, and I got it. And that was about, just like, it's bigger than me. And another thing he said was that yeah, when you in high school, you the man. When you're in college, you was the man. When you come here, everybody can't be the man. So it's going to be a sacrifice. And that's when he said, you either going to get it or you're not going to get it. And I was like, okay, well, if I want to last long, I better accept it and do as best I can with whatever role.
Yeah, shout out to Luke, man, because Luke trained me. I moved to Houston because I signed with the Poston brothers. Yeah. And I lived in Houston from 93 to like 2005. And me and Luke trained. You know how hard we trained?
Yeah.
So I had to hear that every day from him saying it to other people. So he was always a realist. He's trying to get you the understand the realization of where you are. All the other stuff don't mean anything because these two dudes making the most money.
Right.
Or don't get shots whether you can or not. We know you can do it. We don't care right now.
Right.
Play your role.
Right.
So let's skip that and go into the championship. Let's just skip through the Grizzlies, and y'all loved it with the Grizzlies, every team, because you made your mark on every team. Let's just go to the first championship. Like, did you feel in training camp or during the season at a point that you was like, this squad, we got a chance to win it?
I wasn't that confident. One, it was the trade, one of the biggest trades that happened that landed me there. And so, Miami, you think about Pat Riley, and Pat Riley wants me to come here
Shout out to Pat.
for sure. And, they had D-Wade, young D-Wade, and you had Shaq. But Pat Riley think I could come here and help them win. And so we started off rocky. Stan was coach then. Rouse took over. So we was up and down a little bit at the beginning, and then we managed, make the playoffs. But even when we made the playoff, I still wasn't that confident in making it. And it's my first rodeo. When I was in Memphis, the team before that, like we had made the playoffs for the first time the first 2 years. So I had a little bit playoff experience, but we were the AC. So we ended up getting swept those 2 years anyway. So now I get to Miami and we plan for something because it's already out there. Like we have championship potential. What are we going to do? And so you figure the older team we had Shaq, Alonzo Mourning, the young D-Wade, we had Antoine Walker, we had Jay Will, we had Gary Payton. So we had a veteran team, an older team, and it was still like, we just know because we wasn't consistent during that season. And then we beat New Jersey, then we had to go through Detroit. And then it was like, okay, that's when I finally felt like, whoo, because Detroit was running everything.
Yeah.
So we beat Detroit, and I was like, we actually got a chance. And, growing up, like I said, whether it's the playoffs or getting to the finals, you always want to know how you were doing that in that environment, in that situation. And so getting into the finals, it's like, oh, I've been waiting for how am I, for me, like what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? Fight or run. You know what I'm saying? And I was, fortunate enough to, like I said, play my role and make timing plays. We had great leadership with Rouse, but also Shaq. Those were the only people that had the championship experience for the most part. So I'm listening and I'm soaking in all the energy and all the conversation and the stories about what it takes and things like that. And I'm making sure, once again, like I don't let them guys down.
Yeah.
Like Rouse, you traded. I was part of this trade because you felt like I could help. So I got to do whatever it takes to bring championship.
So your mindset was winning over everything. Basically, you just did whatever it took. Why is that so important? Like if you say to a young guy, why is winning over everything? That means over your minutes, your shots. That's really hard to do. That's hard to do because you said you had your moments where you were like, man, I think I deserve more in college and at Denver. But why is winning over everything the mindset?
I'm a winner at the end of the day. Like I'm going to try to put myself in the best situation to win. And that's what you're remembering and known for is winning for the most part. And it's a sacrifice, and winning is hard. You know what I'm saying? On every level it's hard, but winning at the professional level is really hard. And so this was my opportunity, not knowing that I would ever get it again. You know what I'm saying? You look at my stats, you look at my career, but you also have Hall of Famers that never had the opportunity to play in the finals or win the finals for the most part. So it was like, take care of this right now while I can and make the best of it.
Yeah, when I look at the guys that were my favorite teammates, I'm jumping subjects now. I talk about who was a dog. To me, Jason Kidd was a dog. He didn't have to score to win game. Bo Outlaw he played his man, my man, your man.
Yeah,
I put you on the all dog list. What does that being a dog mean to you? What comes along with being a dog?
Not being afraid, accepting all challenges, and doing whatever it takes to win. And it comes with a sacrifice. And I'm okay with the sacrifice because it's about winning. And as long as I do my role as best I can, I'm cool with that. But at the end of the day, it's about winning. Like I said, you remember winners. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I look at it that way.
Yeah, so with the young guys coming in nowadays, it's pretty much all about entitlement in me. And when I look at everything, it's like knowing your role. When I talk to this scout, he came to our practice, or they were coming to our practices, and I would talk to them after every practice, and then I'd say, what is your biggest conflict or deal with a guy? They go, identity crisis, not knowing their role. So what would you speak to a young kid that's kind of fighting with, man, but I can score, but they telling me, like a rookie in the league, but they telling me I got to wait my turn?
I had good vets. I had grown men and vets. And then whether it was on the season, and you talked about off season being in Houston, like, yes, we had a lot of NBA guys, veteran, older guys that I really respected because they paid the way for me to get there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I was a good listener, and I wanted to last for the most part. So like I said, it was a sacrifice, and I just waited my turn. And I guess in front of you, but my time wasn't to come in and be to get buckets and nothing like that. It just wasn't. So I'm like, okay, now I'm thinking lasting in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to play 12 years because I made the sacrifice, and it was about winning, and it wasn't more about me. It was more about, we in a team at the end of the day. And now just a sense of entitlement, it probably starts from the AAU,
Yeah.
in college for the most part. Like, yeah, everybody can do it, but everybody can't do it on this biggest stage right now. Like you just think about the league and the teams, and you have a draft every year, but the players that come in, they're not all stars or don't have that ability to be that player. You have to work. You have to, work at it and be a good listener. Like I said, I had real grown men vets. Now you sort of got the young leading the young. So that message ain't the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then that competition ain't the same. It's more like, yeah, you want to be bros and all that stuff. That's cool, but I was probably the young bro back then, but I was still a good listener to my old heads for the most part. And I think that's what helped me. And I think that's what we're missing now.
You think the culture, like when we talk about culture, you got the Heat culture, you got the Spurs culture. Those two cultures outlast and outweigh pretty much every franchise in the league because Popovich has been there forever. Riles has been here forever. It's not knocking any other franchise because you had Golden State culture for a while. They're still going. They're starting to break up a little bit. You obviously had the Lakers and the Celtics, but I'm talking about a constant reminder every day because I played for the Heat. I wore the knee pads. I wore the elbow pads, but it was about the culture. What does culture mean to you? And is that the most important thing that you got to establish? Like you said, these young guys are not good listeners. Do you think the culture of the team does that? And would it be hard to build that with these younger dudes?
Were those two franchises that you mentioned, the Spurs and the Heat, it starts from up top, and that's from the owners, and that's with the owners having patience with the guys that you put in those positions, from the GM to the head coach. And if you let them do their job, what you hired them to do, and be patient in the process, then I think you develop that culture for the most part.
Right.
I know it's a crazy business, but the turnover in coaches, I think that sort of hurts that culture for the most part, where, it's no stability there, and it changes from year to year or every couple of years or whatever. So I think it's that pecking order of, the GM believing, okay, this is what you're here to do. I'm gonna let you do your job to build that culture.
Yeah, I think, obviously Riles is phenomenal because he got guys sitting in the stands during practice checking if your closeouts are good.
Yeah.
Big hand, deflections, charges, whatever it is, multiple efforts, all these different things. I'm sure the same thing because Pop held all those guys accountable and all that. It's just, when you have that, it's like you have no choice. It's like going into the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine.
Yeah.
You have no choice. You buy into that. So when we talk about teams, if you were afforded an opportunity, they like, James, I like the way you represent yourself and what you believe in. We want you to be our head coach. How would you start your franchise? If you're the head coach and you're talking to the GM, you're talking to guys, would you go out to guys that think more like you, or would you go, okay, I just need guys that are just going to listen and I can handle it from there, or we can handle it from there?
Well, depending on the team, the situation, the player, you know what I'm saying? Once you get to this level, they choose the stars for the most part, and Yeah, so starting with that player, you have to build that relationship. And then it's the accountability part. You have to be honest. At this level, we respect honesty over anything. That's for sure. Don't bullshit us about nothing. We might not want to hear it, but at the end of the day, be honest. I can swallow that pill and I deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to honesty. And if you could have that with that star player, hold him accountable, and he's willing to accept that criticism or whatever it may be, and understand, like, yeah, you put in this position, this is what's needed from you, and he handles it right, I think you're in a good position to build that culture. Now you have that player that don't want to buy in, and he's like, oh man, it's whatever, he want to do what he want to do. Now it's a tough situation, but I think it's still like you still have to hold that person accountable, and then you just work from there. Because once he buy in at the top, he got to make everybody else buy in as well. The same message has to be delivered, and it's no difference, but it is a difference because he is a star player, and the other players not gonna get treated the same.
Right.
But you got to see, and they have to see that the coach right here, he's gonna hold him accountable, the same fire in, and just go from there.
Yeah. So just to end this, my last question for you is, the coaches that you learn from the most when you're in the league, and then the vets that help you along the way, just giving you an opportunity. It might be a lot. I don't know. Maybe just a couple. I know I don't want to single anybody out, but the coaches that you learn from, like for me, defensively, Larry Brown, when I played for him in New York, just Isaiah, he was with me in New York, just his mentality. Chuck Daly, the defensive side of the ball. You know, Brian Hill was the first coach that allowed me to play in the post. He didn't take my game from me because I was a post-up big. So those coaches, and I'm not leaving any other coaches out, because when I went to Phoenix, it was Frank Johnson and Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni was offensive genius. Scott Skiles, I played for him too. That was my teammate in Orlando. So it was a lot of people that I learned from. Who are the people that you was like, because you were a champion, I never became a champion. On those championship teams, they just do those teams. That guys that just, you were like, man, these guys just, you were a great listener, but they really helped me. Coaches and players.
I'm gonna start here because I think it started to change for me when I got to Memphis.
Okay.
Jerry West.
Jerry West.
Ladies, yes, man. Believing in me to get me to come to Memphis, signing me to come to Memphis. Now when I get to Memphis, Hubie Brown. Now, everybody look at, I mean, he's old, but he was old then. But it was the energy and his discipline and his accountability that he gave at his age to that team. And I think that's why we had the success under him during that time, making the playoff those first couple of years being at Memphis. You go from there, I go to Miami. Well, I say Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Now even you got Shaq as a player. You know, great leadership in Shaq. They're down. Go to Boston. Talk about Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
But then I also, you know, you talk about Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Yo, the big three, all the accolades that they have, they were great listeners. We had great conversations. And that was from my experience of winning the championship in Miami. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, they made our team one, and they made our role players and role players just feel like we were star players in a sense. So a shout out to them for just allowing that.
Yeah, shout out all three.
And then just coming up, I had a Nick Van Exel, Antonio McDyess, George McLeod.
George McLeod,
yes. Let me see.
It's a lot, though. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but it was a bunch. And
it is.
And to your credit, just listening to you today, it started early, the chip on your shoulder. The support system gave you the understanding of that. You didn't just want to be a cup of coffee and like they talk about, just in the league a couple years and then go back home. You kept the chip on your shoulders for all the years. You never lost that chip. Every single minute, every single second, you were always thinking, this wasn't promised me to be here. I'm here. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to grind. I'm never going to stop. I'm going to compete every day. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be a great listener. That's what the young kids got to understand. Be great listeners and great workers of the game, and you can sustain not just 3 years in and out. You're listening to someone. If you don't know a lot about James Posey, the younger people, please look him up. He's a winner. He's a listener, great character, toughness, all the above. One of the winners players in NBA history, because everywhere he went, they won. So I appreciate you, brother, for coming on the show.
Man, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it right there, James Posey. Appreciate y'all. Thank you again for listening to the podcast. My 2 cents. We're out. Peace.